Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Hello everyone. This is David Parra and you're listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We came to you on Tuesday in Espanol. Today we're coming to you in English. And we have a very, very important subject. I always say this because I really believe it. I'm going to be sharing the Facebook Live from the station to our station. Alex, would you mind helping me here? Yeah, if you go to La Onda there, and then you just share it to the Hispanic Connection. We have a very important show today. You know, many of you have followed us and probably have heard me for several years. And I always say that I work for AARP, but today we're going to do it on AARP. We really want to, explain and share with you what we are all about, who is AARP, and above all, we want to really highlight our founder. I was thinking that particularly, when a church is built, for example, we know the Lutherans, right? The Lutheran Church, they always talk about their founder, Martin Luther King. And it seems like nonprofits, tend to follow the vision, the mission, the purpose of the founder. Every organization has a founder. And the organization's mission is to carry out the founder's, purpose and the reason why they founded that organization. So that's what we're going to try to do today. I'm going to, first of all, introduce our guest, and we have several of them. But some of our colleagues are working in the office, so they couldn't come. So there's 10 of us, right? Mm-hmm. There's 10 staff at AARP Arizona. Briefly, just let me say that AARP is a nationwide organization, and we have state offices in every state of the country. So we go by AARP Arizona, AARP California, AARP Washington, AARP Colorado, and so on and so forth.
Including Puerto Rico.
Including Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, definitely. Thank you for that. So in Arizona, there's 10 staff, and also something that I thought about it, but I didn't know how to integrate it to this program, and it's our volunteers. What would we do without our 200 plus, Dana?
Oh, yeah.
200 plus volunteers.
And growing.
And if you're listening and would like to join the, us, AARP, as a volunteer here in Arizona, just let us know.
There's something for everyone.
That's right. So 10 staff. We have work in Yavapai County, obviously Maricopa County, and obviously Pima County with Maria Ramirez Trillo. She's there in Tucson. But let me introduce our guests. Actually, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Let's just go from my left to my right. And I'm going to ask you to give us your name, your title, and why not? Just give us a little bit of what it means to you to come to AARP and to understand the mission, the vision of AARP, and how that experience has been for you, being that, AARP is an amazing organization. So let's start with you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Dana Kennedy, and I am the state director with AARP Arizona. I have been with AARP for just a little bit over 4 years. And I always say that I won the job jackpot when I started with AARP. And I think everybody who will be introducing themselves will say that they've got the best job in the world, and which is great because we're allowed to do follow our passion and also follow the mission of the organization. So I love working with AARP and the team, not only the team in Arizona, it's the country.
Right. And you know, Dana, I have to say that one of the many things that I appreciate about you as our state director is your understanding of diversity and your being so open to diversity. Since, from day one, that's something that we've felt immediately. And one of the things that I love about AARP in Arizona is diversity. Just right here, we have diversity in the room. And just a little bit about, you were born in California, I believe, and you've been in Arizona for a few years already. Diversity, just share some thoughts about that. I mean, why are you that open? We should all be open, right? But you're just so related to us, and we work on a daily basis, and it is just so great to see a person that understands diversity and is open to it.
Well, I think any place that you go to, the more diverse it is, the more you're able to achieve. And I think that we build on the strengths of our differences, and our differences allow us to do more things and reach more people. And I believe that our team is probably over 50% diverse. Half of our team is Spanish-speaking as well as English-speaking. So I think that we all bring different experiences to the table.
Right.
And so diversity ethnically, but also just from our backgrounds. I think that we all bring a lot of diversity to the table, no matter what our ethnic background is.
Yeah, we have Anglo-Saxon, we have African-American, and then we have Hispanic Americans. And I'm sure that soon we'll have Native Americans too, hopefully in the near future. Alex?
Well, hello, everyone. And David, thank you for having us here today. I'm Alex Juarez. I've been part of the show a few times.
Right.
And
we're co-hosts.
Yes, that's right. I just don't come as often as you do.
Right.
But anyhow, I've been with AARP 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. Very excited to be part of this amazing organization. I honestly really didn't know much about AARP before coming here. Obviously, I knew who AARP was, but I didn't know really the work that AARP does in the community. So I feel very lucky having come from the business or corporate world into an organization like AARP that has a mission really to help our 50-plus community, which unfortunately many organizations, many companies don't focus their attention to the 50-plus community. I think that's a big mistake. Mm-hmm. And not only because of the purchasing power of what they have, but the wisdom and expertise that the 50-plus community has is just absolutely amazing.
Right. Thank you, Alex. I want to go next, Steve.
Steve Jennings, and I handle the advocacy end of AARP here, and we try and influence federal, state, and local decision makers to make decisions favorable to older people and their families. I was lucky enough to get a job in a law office many years ago that served senior citizens, and I went to the 104 senior centers in Utah on a regular basis, and I saw that people there had the same problems over and over, and many of those problems were best addressed in the legislative setting. So I got involved with the Utah legislature, and we really didn't have much success. There was a collection of us aging advocates, but when we got AARP involved, we started winning some of those issues. And so that made me interested in working for AARP, which I've done for a number of years now. So it's great to be here.
And let's understand, AARP is very well known for its advocacy power or advocating power. And we are represented in Washington, D.C., and you happen to be the responsible one at the state level, so you have a huge job. I assume this involves getting to know all the legislators and all the issues that happen. Well, primarily the issues that AARP is involved in, but you have quite a job, Steve.
Yeah, and luckily everybody else in the office and a number of volunteers help take on the challenges with me, because they are huge challenges. Right.
So advocacy is basically advocating with the legislators which involves educating them, because they don't always know the bills. They don't always read the bills. And so AARP is there to make sure they understand the repercussions of laws that could pass or this and the other.
Yeah, that word advocacy, is from the Latin, and it's ad and vocar. It means to call or call to. And sometimes we have to make our voice louder to the decision makers, and not just the legislature, but to the mayors and city councilors and to the federal Congress people. Sometimes we need the help of the AARP members, because the members are the real AARP.
Right.
Because sometimes it's necessary that our voice be louder than the commercial voices or the voices of other groups so that things go our way.
Thank you. Paula?
Hello, everyone, and thank you, David, for having me on.
Yes.
I am the Community Outreach Director for our office, and I've been with AARP for a little over 4 years, just like Dana. And my background, I come from a background of nonprofit and government sector, and I can honestly say that AARP is the best organization that I've ever worked for. And I am just so in line with our mission of enhancing the quality of life as we age and as I age, and all of the issues that I'm dealing with in our priority areas. And just one example, caregiving, which is a huge priority area for us. And I am dealing with caregiving I'm a caregiver for my parents right now. And just the tremendous amount of support that I've received from my employer in that area. I don't know of any other organization that provides that. But I do honestly feel like I work for the best organization.
Every time we have staff meetings, or from time to time, we will say the words, we're so, fortunate to work for AARP. We have an amazing team. The relationships, are great. We get paid for doing something that we already love to do. And I was even just thinking, Alex, if you had to go back to previous types of work, would that be a little challenging once you go into the nonprofit, and especially with the AARP, which where our motto is to serve, not to be served. I mean, and then Dana, you also quote the fact that here we have resources that we can deploy to serve Arizonans, as opposed to begging or writing or looking for ways to raise funds. And with the AARP, we just have so much, and we have such a great team, such a relationship with. I mean, when I was getting ready for this show, I was so happy that we were going to be here. I'm a teleworker. I don't see you every day. And I said, we're going to be together again. So it's just an amazing thing. But Alex, just 20 seconds. I'm sure that it's pretty different working for a nonprofit, AARP, especially from the time that you were maybe in the business world.
Yeah, there's a difference working from corporate to a nonprofit organization, in the sense that I think with a nonprofit, you have to really believe and be passionate for what you do. We were talking in the car, sometimes with nonprofits, nonprofits are probably not for everyone. But if you have a passion to serve, to give back to the community, it's a great place to be.
Definitely.
Obviously, I enjoyed my time in the business corporate world. But I don't think I would ever go back.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy
This is something so special. We are in a very good place. We have to go on our first break. Stay with us. You're listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The subject today, AARP, founder and Arizona staff. That's what we named the show today. And I just want to say that we are thinking about James Hughes, who is in the office. We are thinking about Brandon Blake, who is in the office. Maria Ramirez Trillo, who I believe should be in Tucson. And then Sean Trovia in Prescott. So they are. I think I thought I had said Brenda. Brenda, I didn't. Okay, Brenda Holt. I apologize. Brenda Holt also. She couldn't make it to our show today. So we're thinking of you. Thank you. We'll get you next time. No, don't worry. I wanted to just read a few lines here. Who is AARP, right? AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people to choose how they live as they age. with nearly 38 million members and offices in every state, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, AARP works to strengthen communities and advocate for what matters most to families, with a focus on health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. We also work for individuals in the marketplace by sparking new solutions and allowing carefully chosen products and services to carry the AARP name. This is who we are. I would like to also continue reading a little bit more before we start talking about our founder. AARP's vision is a society in which all people live with dignity and purpose and fulfill their goals and dreams. And then AARP's purpose is to enhance the quality of life for all as we age. We champion positive social change and deliver value through advocacy, information, and service. AARP's mission is to empower people, again, to empower people to choose how they live as they age. Wow, what a vision, what a purpose, what a mission. This is what AARP is. And I was telling my wife, if I'm an AARP staff and I am an AARP member, then I am part of AARP. And I've been a part of AARP for 15 years. This is amazing. Just to learn the story of our founder and then just to realize that we are part of that. I mean, we are part of something special, something big. Why don't we start the conversation around our founder? Perhaps we can say a little something about her being an educator, right? And just by all means, shoot away as anyone who wants to add anything. I'll start just by saying that she was born in California and moved to Chicago. And it is in Chicago that she went to school. She became a teacher, later received a master's and then a PhD. That's why we refer to her as Dr. Andrus, right? And obviously she became the one of, I thought it was the first, but then I said one of California's first female high school principal. Amazing. Let me just stop there. Any thoughts about, I mean, she didn't get married, right? She did not get married. It wasn't easy in those days. You either had to pick one or the other. Either you got married or you went to school, and she decided to go to school. So I'll just stop here. Any thoughts about our Dr. Andrus as an educator?
Well, I just think she was amazing, always making a difference in the community and always filling a need. And she was an educator, so one of the most famous stories and that people know, or maybe people don't know about her, but she actually went to visit a retired teacher. And that retired teacher was living in somebody's backyard in a chicken coop. And she was absolutely outraged that somebody who had given so much to the community in retirement was living in the backyard of somebody's chicken coop. So she actually decided that she went on a mission to be able to deliver health insurance to retired teachers. That was kind of our beginning.
Right.
So she knocked on the door of 31 insurance companies in order to provide group insurance to retired teachers. And so she formed NRTA, National Retired Teachers Association, and that was our beginning. And I think that motivates all of us to what we do every day.
Right.
That we serve one, we serve all. And I think that, you know, anything we do, we often say, what would Ethel Percy Andrus do?
Right.
And then we also, you know, when we are charitable and able to give something, we also say, thank you, Ethel.
Right.
And so we don't forget our founder at all. We think of her every single day.
She's very living, I think, among us. I mean, we mention her a lot because her legacy is just amazing.
Yeah.
Paula?
So we use the term disrupt aging a lot with AARP, and that's part of what we're trying to do is change the whole image of aging. So she was a disruptor,
right?
And she for part of the reason for what you stated earlier, David, she pursued higher education. She got her PhD, which was so uncommon for women in that age.
Wow.
Yeah, and also becoming one of the first high school principals. You know, that's a disruptor.
Definitely.
And so I really like disruptors. Anybody who's trying to, change the status quo for the
pursuing
good.
higher education, getting a master's, getting a PhD. That's definitely a
in
disruptor
that
of
day,
aging.
absolutely. In that day and
Even when
age.
she founded AARP, it wasn't in her 30s.
Right.
She founded AARP later in life.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Or later in her career.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what she did was she retired, and I think she was 68, and this was in 1948. And health insurance companies would not sell health insurance to older people. And this woman that was in the chicken coop, who she knew was someone without insurance.
Right.
And so Ethel, over that period, went to 30 different insurance companies. This is after World War II. And tried to get them to sell insurance to older people. This is many years before Medicare.
That's right.
And on the 30th company, she finally found one that would insure older people. And it turned out to be a financial success for them. That was in 1948.
Right.
When she was 68. So when she was 78 in 1958, so this shows you that age is no barrier. When this woman was 78, she started AARP. So their spouses could get health insurance, and now here it is with 38 million members, one of the most powerful organizations in the world.
Right.
Don't ever let anybody tell you one person can't make a difference.
Right.
And David, I heard a very important and a key word that Paula and Dana mentioned, visionary.
Right.
This lady was a visionary. She was ahead of her time. Extremely intelligent person. But she wasn't only a teacher or an educator. She wore many, many multiple hats. She was a volunteer as well.
Right.
She was a caregiver. She did in housing pioneer for Chicago and California. She was a writer, editor as well. She was the founder, obviously, of the NRTA and AARP. She was a marketplace innovator because she brought in the insurance for those retired teachers. And she was just way ahead of her time.
Yeah. And I think that's precisely the reason why AARP is so successful. Because it's basically, I see AARP as the enlargement of Ethel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it, the enlargement of Ethel Percy. One thing that really impressed me from the very beginning when I joined AARP is the fact that she taught Italian immigrants English. She taught them English. When they came to this country, they didn't know English, and she taught them. This is in Chicago. This is the pre-senior centers. They call the settlement houses, I believe. Back in those times, they used to call them settlement houses, and they used to teach English to Italian immigrants. Then when she became the principal in my dear Angeles, I grew up in East Los Angeles, and I know that high school. We call it Lincoln High. Lincoln High School. That's where she became the principal. And one of the things that is so amazing and that it just really impressed me very, very much is that she found all kinds of diversity. Again, talk about disrupting aging and all kinds of concepts. She embraced diversity. She came up with programs for parents, after school programs, ROTC, drama clubs. And, I mean, she even went to jail to get her students out of jail. I mean, she did so much in that high school. And she was just a person who embraced diversity. And this is one of the items that I really, really appreciate about Ethel Percy. And I don't know, every time I'm doing my work in education, etc., she's almost like here with me. I say, if she was alive, she would be very happy of what's happening. It was just an amazing person. Yeah. So then one of the things that we probably could also highlight is that at one point her mother got ill, right? And she was faced with the decision to continue working or retire to take care of her mother. What did she do? She retired. And she became a caregiver to her mother. Then when her mother got better, then is when she volunteered for the California Retired Teachers Association, and that's when she found the lady living in the chicken coop, and then that galvanized her into action to found the National Retired Teachers Association, and then she started getting all kinds of good benefits for the teachers, insurance. I believe that Steve, or anybody, the prescription drug program or service that she established, was that for the NRTA or the AARP? I believe it was the NRTA. Anybody remember that?
With NRTA.
It started with the NIR. I mean, even a prescription drug program where people could actually mail the prescription drugs. Unbelievable. And then people started writing to her, letters. This is Ethel. I mean, we're not retired teachers. How about us? And that's what led her to found the American Association for Retired Persons, now known only as AARP. Amazing, amazing person. I believe we're going to have to go to our second break. Stay with us. You are listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. The subject today, AARP, founder and Arizona staff. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Our show today is AARP, founder and Arizona staff. We are talking about our founder, Ethel Percy Andrus. I mean, every time we speak about her, I don't know, we just get so happy. Everything that we are doing today, everything pretty much started with her. She was born in 1880 plus. 1881. Think about that. And she's doing all these great things. I mean, no wonder why AARP is so successful. We're just the continuation of Ethel. Dana Kennedy is our state director. And we were talking off the air of how she was even involved with the passage of Medicare. Would you mind elaborating just a little bit on that?
Well, right. As I mentioned earlier, it was really important for her, for people who were older, that they had access to health care. And so she did get the group health care policy for retired teachers, but she didn't stop there. She wanted to make sure all people who were older had access to health care.
Right.
So she worked to get Medicare passed. So there was a big movement to get health care for all passed. Wasn't able to get health care for everybody, but they were able to get Medicare passed. And then also people who were permanently disabled, SSI, and benefits as well, and then also people who had end-stage renal disease. So that was Medicare. And so that when President Johnson signed Medicare into law, she was in the room in the White House. And so when people wonder why we make sure that the Affordable Care Act continues on and that why we were part of the Affordable Care Act, it's because that was what our founder wanted.
Definitely.
So healthcare was a big issue for her, and making sure that people didn't have to go into poverty because they didn't have health care or access to health care.
Unbelievable.
Insurance.
Yes. Not in any order, but I would like to read something. I have a PowerPoint on our founder. And when the president of the United States says something about a person when that person dies, that's huge. And President Lyndon B. Johnson in July of 1967, when Ethel Percy passed away, these are words of the President Lyndon B. Johnson. He said, "In Ethel Percy Andrus, humanity had a trusting and untiring friend. She has left us all poorer by her death, but by her enduring accomplishment, she has enriched not only us, but all succeeding generations of Americans." Unbelievable. So that's another thing that happened. I mean, she was so involved with healthcare. I wanted to bring another point because I think it is important. AARP has, internally we say 3 branches, right? We have a AARP Foundation. We have AARP, the association, which is us, the non-for-profit. But we also have a for-profit entity. It's called AARP Services Incorporated. And anybody just relate a little bit as to what is the function of the AARP Services Incorporated? Because a lot of times people confuse us for being an insurance company. And we were talking about Ethel Percy Andrus and all that she is, and that there's just no compatibility with confusing or thinking that we are an insurance company. We're just I mean, nothing could be farther than the truth. We are not an insurance company, but still there is. How is that arm of AARP? What do they do, and how does that relate to people in their homes? I know they get a lot of mail, and I mean, we get even complaints that, AARP sends too much mail to our home. Can somebody just elaborate just a little bit about the function of the AARP Services Incorporated?
Well, what we do, David, is this is Steve. AARP allows some of the big corporations in the country to sell products to our members, and we put them under very strict guidelines. We put out requests for proposals, and we write contracts with some of the major insurers and other businesses, financial services, travel. And we take a small percentage of the profit they make to fund AARP's nonprofit activities. And that way we're not reliant on government and taxpayers. We're independent of that. And we run our volunteer programs, which include driver's education for older people. We have volunteers that help people prepare their income taxes from February 15th to April 15th every year for free at libraries and community centers. We have the community activities that Paula is in charge of and was speaking about, and we'll talk a little bit more about those. But that's what AARP Services does, and because of laws and regulations by the government, it has to be a separate corporate entity from the nonprofit part of AARP we work in. We spend the money that they make, and with a mailing list of 38 million people, we have lots of big corporations that would like to sell products to our members, and we make sure that the products are quality products, and we're there for members to complain to if they're not treated right. And believe me, we've got a whole division that goes after those companies if they don't treat our members well.
Yeah.
Can I just say something about the foundation, because you mentioned that, and sometimes we'll receive calls from people asking about employment services, and we don't actually provide those in our office, but the foundation is a separate arm, and they actually provide services that serve low-income older adults. And they have 3 priority areas, and one is employment, and the other 2 are housing and hunger.
Right.
And so if there are any listeners that are 55 and older is the age limit or the age requirement, there and low income, our senior community services employment program is the program that you would contact in Phoenix.
You used to work for that program,
I
right?
did. I sure did.
That is such an important part of AARP as well, because I'm sure that if you are an AARP member or you become an AARP member in the future, you'll get solicitations for donations from the foundation, and the work that the foundation does, unbelievable. Again, I don't know. It would take us several programs if we went, with more detail to talk about this arms of AARP. AARP is just a nationwide. Another thing that is important to mention before we move on to the other section of our program is nonpartisanship. And Steve being let me give it to Dana. Dana, you basically, you have also your share in politics. And now you come to an organization that is nonpartisan. Elaborate on that, and even how that kind of is different than perhaps your previous experiences, where perhaps there was a little bit more partisanship.
Well, I definitely believe strongly in being nonpartisan. And I think it's absolutely critical that we have relationships with Democrats as well as Republicans, as well as independents and Green Party. And we work with anybody who wants to work on behalf of senior citizens in the 50-plus community. And I did work for the former Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema before she became our senator. And even working in her congressional office, I had to be extremely nonpartisan. And, working in a congressional office, you serve your constituents, which constituents are both parties or all parties. And so AARP, we go about it the same exact way. And it's absolutely critical that we are viewed as nonpartisan and that we take that very seriously. So I don't attend any campaign events at all. I make no campaign donations since I've started this job. job. And but in the past, I was very politically active, and it helps with the relationships that I've built.
Definitely.
But even when I was politically active, I still worked with people of all parties because I always worked on issues. I've worked on issues my entire career.
This is very important. Issues, not parties.
I don't.
Right?
I'm an issue-based person.
Right. Issue-based.
It was issues
definitely.
that brought me to a specific party.
Of course.
But it's issues that have always motivated me and continue to motivate me.
Right. And Steve, sometimes, and go ahead and let me just interject a little thought here. Sometimes we are accused of being either this party or that party. Go ahead.
Well, political hay makes, our opponents love to misportray what we are. But and anytime you're powerful, there's an old saying in politics is if you're not making any difference, you won't be attacked. Mm-hmm. So if you are, you're going to be attacked. And that happens to AARP. But it's important that people understand that nonpartisan means that we're not Democrats. We're not Republicans. We're not Greens. Aging is an American issue. It's a people issue. It's not a political issue. And everybody has interests in, addressing the challenges that happen to people when they get older, the health care issues, the lack of income, a lot of older people, housing issues, all these challenges that can happen to you when you're, the old, your health can begin to break down and you have more expenses. And so that's what we try and focus on. And we work with both parties, all parties really in attempting to positively address these challenges.
At one point, we favor the Part D Medicare, which was a Republican. I think it was President Bush that started that, and we were for that. And then, obviously, with the Affordable Care Act, it was more of a Democrat. So this just two examples prove that we go for an issue that we feel is important to our members, regardless of what party is behind that issue. So these are two huge legislations. You're talking about Medicare Part D, and then the Affordable Care Act, and this just two examples shows, how we went for an issue that we thought it was important, regardless of the party.
Well, yeah, and when President Bush was in office, he was a Republican. We helped get, like you say, Part D, which was a prescription drug benefit in Medicare, and that made the Democrats mad at us because it made the Republicans look good.
And some members, too.
And then when we supported the Affordable Care Act when President Obama was in office, that made the Republicans mad at us. So we figure we're doing something right if everybody's mad at us.
Right. Yeah, well, let's move now to AARP staff. I mentioned, the 10 of us. There's 10 staff, and thanks to our volunteers, more than 200 volunteers help us do our work. And it's not like they help us do, but we are a team. We carry out the work through volunteers. So, Alex, go ahead.
And I think I want to point something else before we move into the staff. I think one thing to point out, I think, to everybody that's listening here is how AARP has evolved. When it first launched, it had a mission basically to protect the interest of those retired or in the process of retiring.
Good point.
So, which meant what,
65 plus?
65 plus. We have evolved. Retired, exactly, yeah. AARP has evolved.
Right.
We have been advocating for 50 plus for many years now. How many years do you think we've been doing that now? At least 5-6 years, more than that. More than
before the 90s.
Oh, before really? When we started in the 50s. Okay.
50.
All right. Very good. So it is important for people to understand that this is not for people that are just retired, but for anybody that's 50 plus. That is, and again, we are not an insurance company. We're not just a discount for discounts to go to a restaurant and get a discount on it. We're much more than that.
We are engaged in the issues of the people.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And also, we'll talk soon about our events and stuff, but anybody can come to any of AARP events. And you can actually become an associate member at any age. I actually became an AARP member in my 20s in college. So, yeah, I know. But I'm one of those aging nerds.
That's a junior, senior.
But now we're doing a lot of work in caregiving. And caregiving, we know that a lot of millennials are caregivers, or they're trying to find the resources for their family members. So we're actually trying to help millennials navigate their caregiving experience as well.
So anybody with age, any ethnic group that you belong to, Latino,
we do not discriminate at all.
Everybody
including
is welcome,
age.
And not only welcome.
You are not too young,
right, to join AARP, but even if you want to join the volunteer group and really carry out to help us to spread the work through to the state. by all means, let us know. You have some...
David, there's training if people are interested in helping with AARP on advocacy. On February 5th, we're going to have a training in the office for people that would like to learn how to do that and how to influence decision makers. And if you're interested in being part of that, you might want to grab a pencil and write down this phone number that you can call for further information. That's for the February 5th advocacy training for new volunteers. The number to call is 602-262-5178, 602-262-5178.
Thank you, Steve. We have to go on our next break. Stay with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. We are very, very excited that we have a chance to relate to the public what AARP is all about. We exist. We are here in Arizona. We are in every state of the country, Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's just amazing. It's an organization that is there for you, and we really are always looking for ways to serve you. Let's move in the last segment to what AARP is going to be doing in 2019. How is AARP going to show up? Where are people going to be seeing AARP in action?
Okay, well, I will start. This is Paula again, and I'm the outreach director. And just want to give the listeners just an idea of what my role is in the office first. So there's a number of things that I do. One is networking. It's really important for us to build relationships and partnerships with other organizations in the community that share our vision. And so just getting out in the community and meeting new people and learning about what other organizations do is really important. I think it's important to all of our roles. The other thing is corporate giving. I handle a lot of the corporate giving and the requests for sponsorships. And as listeners probably imagine, we get a lot of those. And we have a limited budget, and we're obviously not able to approve everything. But when we're able to, we really like to be able to support community events that are in line with our priority areas. And our priority areas in the Phoenix metro area are primarily healthy living and caregiving. Steve is going to talk a little bit more about our advocacy efforts, but we focus a lot of our events in those two areas. I also do a lot of event coordination. Our members have made it clear that they like to have fun.
Right.
And so I coordinate what we call fun with purpose events. So there's they're fun, but there's also a purpose behind it, education in some area. So just an example of, some of the things that we've done. We've held healthy cooking classes. We've held fitness events. We hold regular drum circles, and drum circles are a form of they're great health promotion. There are a lot of health benefits to that, and we're working on our calendar for 2019. But a lot of community events. I also I'm responsible for working with our national office, who coordinates a lot of events that large community festivals. You'll see our pop-up teams and booths and things at those types of events. So we always encourage people to come out in those to meet us and connect with us. And also volunteer engagement. You've talked already about how important volunteers are to our organization, and we couldn't do the work that we do in our office without volunteers. We're a small staff. They're critical to what we do, so we're always looking for new volunteers, and we have lots of opportunities. And if volunteers are people, it's important for people to do what they feel passionate about and where their skills are. So if people are looking to volunteer and have something in mind that they'd like to do for us, then just let us know, and we'll find a way to make it happen. We just got a new person that he loves to hike, and he's interested in leading hiking groups in the Valley, and we're so excited about that because it fits right into our healthy living, priority areas. So volunteer engagement is another thing.
Thank you, Paula. I want to say that at AARP we could easily divide the work into community outreach and advocacy, pretty much. And so let me go and say a little something about, we have a lot of community or outreach going on in the area of Tucson as well with Maria Ramirez Trillo. Similar to what you mentioned, events, fun events, educational events, and then Sean Trobia in Yavapai County. Brenda Holt, who is our colleague, she does outreach with a particular emphasis to African Americans. I do emphasis to Hispanic Americans, right? So the work is very related, very similar, education,
Absolutely.
fun events, etc. I mean, people know that we do the lunch and learns. People know that we have celebration luncheons for grown-ups.
Movies for grown-ups. We have educational workshops such as
Right.
fraud prevention, prepare to care for
Yes.
caregivers.
Caregiving.
Yes.
An array of issues that we address. And we have African American outreach. We have some Native American outreach as well.
Yes.
So that is very related, right? So now let's go to Steve because of time. Steve,
90 seconds.
2019 advocacy. What is AARP going to be getting involved in? What issues at the legislature?
Well, I'm going to leave it to Dana to talk about family caregivers because she's even been a professional caregiver. But I wanted to mention that we're working with Governor Ducey's administration to have hospitals, when people go in the hospital, be able to list who their caregiver will be when they get out, have the caregiver called or notified when they get released, and the caregiver given the opportunity to come down to the hospital and be shown the medical tasks they'll need to perform. That's called the CARE Act, and we're working on regulations there. We're opposing utility rate increases that we think are too high to try and help people keep their utility bills down. And we're trying to get this very important program for low-income older people that gives them a break on their property taxes, their annual property taxes. That lost its funding mechanism, so we want to see that funded too. So those are three big ones, and I'll let Dana talk about the family caregivers.
Perfect. Well, let me, if I may, why don't we go with Alex first, and then you kind of wrap it up, Donna, if you don't mind. Alex is our communications director. You pretty much have your hands on everything. Every piece of the work of AARP, you kind of have to be in it because you're the communications director.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to meet with Dana. I've got to meet with Paula, with Steve, with Maria, with Sean, with you. I have to know what's happening so I can help you promote whatever events or whatever we want to communicate to the membership. So it's social media, it's the website, it's direct mail pieces. It can be ads, TV ads, radio ads, you name it. So it is all the communication functions.
Right. And we are on Twitter and Facebook. What are those, the names?
The handles?
The handles.
On, Facebook is AARP Arizona,
Right.
at AARP Arizona. And then the Twitter one is at AZ_Arizona.
Okay. AARP is
Yes.
first AARP _AZ or vice versa. If you want to.
Done 1 second.
Double check it.
Now you made me.
Right. Please also know that as part of the Hispanic Americans outreach, we also initiated this platform called AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection, both in YouTube. We have many, actually all of the videos or these shows become videos, and they are uploaded into AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection in YouTube and on Facebook. So if you're listening, please follow our page. You can follow the AARP Arizona page or the AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection page, or why not both? You have it, Alex? Now?
Yeah, it was correct. It was in Twitter. It's at AZ_AARP.
Right. And obviously, if you want to reach out to us, since I'm going to be coming to you on a weekly basis through the Tuesdays in Spanish, Thursdays in English, feel free to join our page, AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection, and send me a message if you want to, reach out to me. So, Dana, we still have about 3 more minutes. You also, you more than Alex because you are responsible for the office. You have to be in everything as well. Give us a kind of a conclusion as to what you see or where you see AARP moving and doing in 2019. AARP in Arizona, of course.
Right. We'll be very active involved, as Steve mentioned, at the state legislature. One of the bills that we're working on is called the Family Caregiver Tax Credit Bill, and that will allow family caregivers a tax credit if they are paying for basically home modifications. It has a limited scope, but that is one thing that we're working on. It would be $1,000 tax benefit for a couple, and they would have to apply ahead of time through the State Department of Revenue, and then qualify for that benefit. It's going to be limited in scope, but that is one thing we're working on. I'm sure many people have heard about the horrible incident that happened with the woman in a nursing home. Many people may think, well, why would AARP be involved in something like that? Well, because it did happen in a nursing home, and she was a vulnerable adult. So we'll be looking at those regulations with nursing homes to make sure that everybody who resides in a nursing home is safe, and making sure that there are mandatory requirements. And so we look holistically at things like that. So although it was sexual abuse that happened to her, it was still abuse. And so we are advocates for any person who has been abused. And so that is something that we feel strongly about, that we'll be advocating for and keeping a watch on that. And, if the CEO did know about the abuse, he should have reported it.
Right.
And certainly anybody that was there in the nursing home, if they knew about the abuse, they should have reported it. But our office, we focus on that, but also, there is a mayoral race that's coming up. So we want to make sure that people are aware that there is a mayoral race and that people vote. So we'll actually be making sure that we notify them.
That's another area that we get involved. Yes.
As far as where the candidates stand on the issues.
When will that race be, Dana? When will the vote be?
It's March 12th.
Yeah.
And then also there will be a Tucson race as well. The mayor has decided that he's not going to be running, so there will be a race in August and then again in November. So we'll be focused on that. And then we're working with the city of Tempe, what's called dementia-friendly Tempe. And then we're also working on what's called age-friendly communities. So we want to make sure that communities, that you can raise a child and also retire,
right,
and that it's safe to do so.
Just in the maybe 10 seconds, healthcare. What do you see coming in the realm of healthcare in 2019?
Well, I think we need to make sure that it's affordable and accessible, and so we're making sure that healthcare is there for everybody, and then we'll be looking at prescription drug costs, and making sure that the drug costs are affordable. Absolutely.
Well, we are going to be very, very busy in 2019. I want to thank each one of you, and also, even though our other colleagues are not here, we're mindful of you. We're thinking of you. Thank you. And we have come to the end of our show. It's been a great show, I believe. We have an amazing organization. We belong to that. We're part of it. We're it. Our founder is just an amazing inspiration to all of us. I mean, she was our first volunteer, right? She was just so much to us, and we always like to carry out her legacy. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy the show. Join us next week. Have a great day.